I used every way I knew to overcome this fear, but it held me firmly in its grip. So whatever I knew, I tried to overcome this fear of water, but it held me firmly. It held him strongly in its grip. Finally, one October, I decided to get an instructor and learn to swim. Now, it was October, and finally he decided in any way he had to learn how to swim. I went to a pool and practiced 5 days a week. So I decided to get an instructor and learn to swim, and he started going to pool and practiced 5 days a week, an hour each day. The instructor put a belt around me, and what the instructor did at the beginning, he put a belt around him. A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. Now pulley, that wheel that is attached to the rope to bring up and down. So a rope was attached to it so that I would not be sank into the water. The instructor put a belt around me. A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. It was attached. He held on to the end of the rope, and what he did, the instructor held the rope to the end of the rope, and he went back and forth, and he went forward and backward, and we went back and forth. We together went backward and forward, back and forth across the pool, hour after hour. So hour after hour, day after day, that they practice, going forward, then backward, forward and backward into the water. So back and forth across the pool, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. On each trip across the pool, a bit of the panic seized me. Every time when I approached to the swimming pool, I went to the swimming pool, that old terror, that pain seized him, that fear seized him. Each time the instructor relaxed his hold on the rope, and every time the instructor left the hold of the rope somehow a bit, relaxed his hold on the rope and went under, and then he went under. When he relaxed the rope, he went under gradually on the rope and went under. Some of the old terror returned and my legs froze, and that time when he started going into the water, somehow that old terror seized him, and again he found his legs unable to move, all because of fear. It was 3 months before the tension began to slack. Now slack means slowed down. Now it was 3 months before that fear somehow slowing down. Then he taught me to put my face under water. And then what happened? The instructor taught him, asked him to go or keep his face inside the water and exhale air. Exhale and to raise my nose and inhale. So go into the water, exhale air, come out and inhale air. I repeated the exercise 100 of times, that inhale and exhale. This exercise repeated many times. Bit by bit, sad part means a slightest part. Bit by bit, a sad part of the panic that seized me when my head went under the water. And when he kept his face inside the water, he kept his head inside the water, that fear came. Next, he held me at the side of the pool and had me kick with my legs. And next moment, he took me to the side of the pool and had me kick with my legs. And he asked me to kick with his legs. For weeks, I did just that. For weeks, I practiced that, whatever he said. Inhale, exhale. Then at the side of the pool, go and kick with his legs. So that was the exercise. For weeks, I did just that. At first, my legs refused to work. At the beginning, his legs stopped working, refused to work, but they gradually relaxed. But gradually, when he practiced again, but they gradually relaxed, and finally I could command them. And now he can feel that his legs are working. Now he can command his legs. Thus, piece by piece, he built a swimmer. Then, step by step, the instructor built him as a swimmer. And when he had perfected me each piece, then he perfected one step after another, one training after another, had perfected each piece, but put them together into an integrated whole. Integrated whole means perfectly functioned body, the entire body functioning, legs, arms, everything functioning. So he put them together into an integrated whole. In April, he said, the instructor said, in April, now you can swim. Dive off and swim the length of the pool and crawl stroke. Now, in April, in the month of April, the instructor said, now you can swim. And dive off. Dive off means dive in to the water. Dive into the water and swim the length. Now you can go this end to the next end. Dive off and swim the length of the pool and crawl stroke. Crawl stroke means crawl. Move arms and legs in that stroke. In the beginning we learn how to swim. We stroke with our arms and legs. So the instructor asked him to dive in to the pool, into the water, and crawl stroke. Go for crawl stroke. I did. The instructor was finished. So I did. I learned. And the instruction was finished. The training was finished. But I was not finished. I still wondered if I would be terror-stricken when I was alone in the pool. The instructor had done. The trainer had done his job. But I am still confused. I still doubtful. I still wondered if I would be terror-stricken when I was alone in the pool. When I would be alone in the pool, I would be afraid of water or not. That was the doubt still there in his mind. I tried it. I checked it. I tried it. I swam the length up and down to check whether he is terror-stricken or not. He went alone to the swimming pool and he swam the length from this side to that side. Tiny vestiges of the old terror would return. The tiny vestiges, the faint mark, the faint sign of that fear. Tiny vestiges of the old terror would return. But somehow, at some point of time, that terror, somehow there was. But now, I could frown. Now, frown means that expression bringing your eyebrows together and there is some wrinkle mark. So, but now, when he got that terror, when he went into the pool, he came up with that expression, but now I could frown and say to that terror. And that particular time, he tried to talk to that fear. And what he would speak? Trying to scare me, huh? Well, here to you, look. And off I would go for another length of the pool. So now he started talking to the fear. So hey, fear, now you're trying to make me afraid of? Let me show you. Well, here is to you, look. And off I would go for another length of the pool to show the terror, to show how brave he is. He is not afraid of that terror. He again went into the pool from one side to the another. This went on until July, and that repeated until July. Then going into the swimming pool, diving in, talking to the terror, and moving one side to the another, swimming one end to the another of the swimming pool. So this went on until July, but I was still not satisfied. But I was not satisfied. It was swimming in the pool. So he was not satisfied. I was not sure that all the terror had left. He was not sure. He was still doubtful that the terror left entirely from his mind or not. So I went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire. So he went to lake in New Hampshire. Then there he dived off or dock at Triggs Island, and then he dived in to the dock of Triggs Island and swam 2 miles across the lake to Swampert Island. In different places, in different lakes, in different islands he visited and did the same. He dived into the water and he swam. I swam the crawl. Now swimming. I swam the crawl. Then he went for breaststroke, side stroke and back stroke. Every stroke he tried. Every kind of jump he tried into the water. Only once did the terror return. Only once the terror of water, the fear of water returned. When I was in the middle of the lake, I put my face under and saw nothing but bottomless water. So I was in the middle of the lake, and that particular time when I went in, I found nothing but bottomless water, endless water. And that particular time only, he afraid of water. The old senses are written in miniature. So sensation, that feeling, and miniature, the small part. So somehow he felt that sensation, that fear in his body when he found himself in the middle of the lake and he found no bottom. It was bottomless water. I laughed and said, and that particular time when he was afraid of water, he laughed and talked to the terror. What? Well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me? Well, Mr. Terror, what you are trying to do with me? You are trying to afraid of me. I fled and I swam on, and to show to the fear that I am not afraid of you. He fled, means ran away, and the next moment he swam and the fear ran away. Fled means ran away, and I swam on. And when the fear ran away, escaped from there, then again I started swimming. Yet I had residual doubts. Residual doubt means remaining doubt. Somehow I had the remaining doubt. Yet I had residual doubts. At my first opportunity, I hurried west, then went up to the Titan or Concrete Meadows, up to Concrete Creek's Trail, to Mid Glacier, and camped in the high meadow by the side of the warm lake. Now he moved to different places and he moved to different height of different lakes, and he even camped in. He stayed there. He stayed nearby the lake to make himself comfortable to the place. The next morning I stripped. I stripped means I took up my clothes. The next morning I stripped and dived into the lake, and then he dived into the lake and swam across to the other shore, and he swam to the next end of the lake and again returned back. Just as Doug Carpron, a famous swimmer, so just as Doug Carpron used to do such kind of swimming. I shouted with joy. Now next moment he found he is no longer afraid of water. So he shouted with joy, and Gilbert Peak returned the echo. Echo means the reflected sound, and he can hear the reflected sound of his happiness, happy sound, happy noise. I had conquered my fear of water. Now he defeated the fear of water. The experience had a deep meaning for me, and that experience, defeating the fear, that experience had a deeper meaning to him. The experience had a deeper meaning for me, as only those who had known stark terror means the hard and violent terror, and conquered it can appreciate. The person who had experienced the fear can only appreciate. In death there is peace, and in death there is peace. When you submit yourself to it, there is peace. And there is terror only in the fear of death. And where is the fear? When you are afraid of death. When you are afraid of death, there is fear. But when you submit to it, there is no fear. So in death there is peace. There is terror only in the fear of death. As Roosevelt knew when he said, as Roosevelt, a philosopher, he said, all we have to fear is fear itself. So Roosevelt, what he had stated, that all we have to fear is fear itself. If we are afraid of that fear, if we are afraid of failure, then only we would be fearful. So there is terror only in the fear of death, as Roosevelt knew when he said, all we have to fear is fear itself, because I had experienced both the sensation, because the author has experienced both the feelings of dying and the terror that fear all it can produce. So the sensation, the feeling of death, and the terror it creates, the terror that fear of it can produce, the fear can produce what kind of sensation? Both the sensation, both the feelings he experienced, the sensation, the feeling of dying, and the fear produced. The will to live somehow grew in intensity. The desire to live somehow grew in strength. And when you overcame that fear, the desire to live grew. At last, I felt released. Now at last, he overcame the fear. He defeated fear. Now he felt relaxed. At last, I felt released, free to walk the trails. Trail means treks, different treks. He's free to walk wherever he wants to go. Free to walk the trails and climb the peaks, of the mountains, and to brush aside fear and to defeat the fear. Brush aside means defeat the fear. Now he enjoys defeating fear. So this is the chapter where Douglas has narrated about his own experience of fearing water, the fear of water, and how he overcame fear. And when he defeated fear, how he enjoyed his life.